Hi, this is Mark Howard. I'm president of Howard Financial Group, and I just wanted to share with you a story today that happened at one of our financial seminars that we did recently. We do a lot of financial workshops for pre-retirees and retirees in the area. And this particular one really stood out because there was a retiree, I'll call her Miss Amy, and she took me to task on something I said in the financial workshop. I was talking about variable annuities, and I was talking about how variable annuities, unbeknownst to a lot of people, have high fees and have risk. There is a potential loss of principal with a variable annuity, and according to Forbes magazine, the average variable annuity has 3.6% of annual fees. So think about if you have a variable annuity with $100,000 in it, that's $3,600 a year going to fees before you've made a dime in it. So Miss Amy came up to me after the seminar and she said, "Mark, I have a question. I have a comment. I have a variable annuity. I've had one for quite some time, and I have annual fees of $30 a year." And I said, "Well, Miss Amy, I have no reason to doubt you, but why don't you come into my office and let's sit down and let's just chat about it and see if we can really find out more about your variable annuity. I'd be happy to do that for you." So Miss Amy came into my office. We got her variable annuity company on the phone, and Miss Amy gave them permission for me to ask some questions. First question I asked was, "What is your annual fee with this variable annuity?" And they said $30 a year. And of course, Miss Amy gave me the nod and said, "See, told you so." But I knew a little bit about variable annuities, and I knew what other questions to ask. So I asked them, "Well, thank you very much for that. By the way, does Miss Amy's variable annuity have an allocation fee?" And they said, "Well, yes, it does. It's 1.2%. I said, "Thank you very much. Does it have an M&E fee?" And they said, "Well, yes, it does. That would be 1.6%. "Does it have a transaction fee?" I said, "Yes, it does." And after I'd asked all the questions, and I won't go through all of the fees that we encountered in Miss Amy's variable annuity, but I will tell you that when we added it all up, Miss Amy's variable annuity had 3.95% of annual fees. Worst case about this is that Miss Amy had no idea. She had no idea. She had $300,000 in that variable annuity. That's almost $12,000 a year in fees that Miss Amy had no idea she was paying. Worst of all, she'd had it for 7 years. 12,000 times 7 is 84,000 in fees that Miss Amy had paid. She didn't have a clue. She did not understand why it was not growing for her. But the worst case of all was when we did the math and saw that she had paid more in fees than she had gained in interest. So variable annuities, not necessarily the best annuity, lots of fees, potential loss of principal. If you have a variable annuity, give us a call and we'll be more than happy to do an analysis for you like we did for Miss Amy. And more than likely, you'll come back to us and say, "Have you got any alternatives for us?" Thanks very much.